Technology is a wonderful thing, and it's certainly become an important part of our lives, and an integral part of our children's lives. But are we doing them any favors by handing them technology that we don't really understand ourselves? Today, we'll learn how to set up restrictions on your children's iPhone. So the phone we're going to be using today is an iPhone 6s running the latest operating system 10.3. Now you may have an older iPhone or you may have an older operating system, but the look and feel of what we're going to be looking at today hasn't really changed that much. If you're unsure about it, feel free to reach out and contact me and I'll see if I can hook you up with a resource that is more to your liking. So what we're looking at is settings. That's going to be that little gear icon that you'll find in your phone. You click on that and it will bring you into the settings section. Where we're going to go is under the general setting and down to restrictions. And this is where we're going to start doing some configuration that's designed to help secure your teen's phone, your child's phone, a little bit more. So if you take a look at restrictions, first thing that comes up for me is a password. Now I like to have the passwords for my kids' phones and devices. And this is not to protect them, but it's more to give me access to the tools that will help to protect them. So what we do is we set up that, especially on the restriction side of things, one password that they're not going to have so they can't make any of the changes to them. Keeping in mind as well that children are resourceful and they will try and find out what that is so they can unrestrict their access. Always important that you keep checking those devices. So in the restriction setting, you can see here that it actually allows you to turn on and off access to certain applications and tools, web browsers, the camera, iTunes stores, and so on. What I want you to especially pay attention to is down here a little bit in the allowed content section. Now, if you have a child, a preteen, a teenager, and you want to be able to have a little bit more control about the content that they're viewing on their devices, this is a great place to start. So you can actually go in and take a look at the age settings for videos and movies and games and applications that they would use. All of these have age-appropriate settings on them, and it's all registered when they download. So you can actually turn off the aspects of NC-17 or restricted content. So you can do that for movies, TV shows, books, apps, even Siri and websites. And websites is a great one to have as well, because this is probably one of the most common problems when it comes to the web and applications on smart devices is kids aren't generally looking for the content, but it's really easy for them to stumble across inappropriate content. So this gives you a little bit more of an ability to restrict their access to that content. The next piece I want you to take a look at is down here in the privacy section under location services. And if you click on that, this is going to give you access to a piece of your phone that every phone has. Now, the location services are designed specifically for the internet access and the cellular provider to give your phone a positioning in the world that you live in. This is so that you can use tools like maps, how Facebook allows you to find people that are located near you and give you a notification of that. It's very helpful in the services that Facebook has released now to let your friends and family know you're safe and in case of an emergency in your area. So what it does is it pinpoints your location with your phone. It's also really helpful with applications like Find My iPhone, which I use probably far too frequently. And you can see down in here all of these applications that use the location-based services. And you can see that there's a lot of them if you happen to have, like me, a lot of applications on your phone. So whenever you download an application, it's always a good idea to jump into the location services and see what that application does. With your kids, it's important that you look at that device on a fairly regular basis to see what they've downloaded and how it's being used. Now, you can either turn off the location services completely just by hitting this button here and turn everything off, or you can simply select what each application is going to do and how they're going to use the application. So for instance, in the App Store, it only has access to location services while I'm using the app. And you can do that for just about every single one of these applications to never use it. So you can keep certain applications connected to location-based services and others not. And you can see down here in the restrictions section with the privacy is you can actually do a whole bunch of settings in and around very specific pieces. So an app like Canva or Instagram, for instance, uses the location-based services and the tools within your phone, and you can actually control whether or not it's actually going to have access to that. So in this case here, you can see that Instagram uses its photos, obviously. But if you don't want to have them using Instagram, you can simply turn off the application's access to photos, and then it makes it pretty much useless. So it's important to all parents that they actually go through these restriction sections and actually take the time to turn things off that you think are inappropriate on your phone, on your child's phone, or simply delete the application altogether. Now those two pieces right there are probably the most important piece. You can actually go down into a whole bunch of privacy settings right through the privacy setting on the settings app. It's got its own little section, so go into privacy. There's location services, but again, all of the tools that currently use it. Now what's important about the location-based services, and we'll pop back in here. And this is something that not a lot of people are aware of. If you go right down to the very bottom of location services, you'll see system services. And under system services, go down a little bit further and there is a little link here called frequent locations. Now, if you decide to keep location services on, you can turn this feature off. Why would you want to do that? Because what it does is it actually tracks and stores all of the locations that you've been to and frequent. Now, this is a helpful tool for you if you happen to want to be able to get regular alerts whenever you're nearby something. If you want your system to alert you when you're leaving a place that you have to do something before you leave. Those are all part of the location-based services. But if you don't have any use for anything, this might be something that you want to turn off. The reason being is that you can actually see on a map every place that you've been. If somebody gains access to your phone, or either directly or remotely, this gives them the opportunity to see exactly where you've been. I like to turn this off on my children's devices simply because of that reason. I don't need everybody to know where my children have been on a regular basis. All in all, it's important that as a parent, you go through the settings section and familiarize yourself with all of the features that you can find in there, particularly when it comes to privacy and restrictions. This way, you can control what your kids access and how they access the applications and features of that particular phone.